Hello, everyone. We'll be starting in about 2 minutes. Hello, everyone. So welcome. My name is Jenna Carter. I'm the program coordinator for the 84 movement, and I'll be joined today by Natalie Cashin, our training manager, as well as Tisha Hood, our other program coordinator. So just a couple of quick housekeeping before we start. So everyone in the audience is going to be muted. If you have any questions, please type them into the chat box, and any content-related questions will be answered at the end. Can everyone hear me okay? Please type in the chat box if you can. And everyone can hear me? Do I get some yeses? Okay. I'm going to get started. People can't hear me? One second, some technical difficulties.
That's why we have Carmen.
Okay, so we're back. I'm just going to go ahead and get started, and please let me know if you can't hear me at any point. Just put it in the chat box. So welcome again to our Kick Butts Day webinar. So just to kick it right off, what is Kick Butts Day? So Kick Butts Day is a national day of activism that really empowers youth to speak out and to kind of get their voices heard about the tobacco prevention industry. It's a national event. It also is sometimes a worldwide event, and it is hosted by Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids. So more than about 1,000 events in schools and different communities take note of this day. And teachers, youth leaders, and people like us and other health advocates raise awareness of the problem of tobacco use in their community or their state. We also encourage youth to reject the tobacco industry's deceptive marketing and stay tobacco-free. And a big part of it for us especially is to urge elected officials to take action to protect our youth from tobacco. So it's really just a big day of tobacco prevention. So specifically for the 84, the way that we do this is in Massachusetts, we have over 200 youth come to Boston from around the state. So it's a statewide event for us. And we have leadership development training before a meeting with the officials. We have the face-to-face meeting with our legislative officials, which is really the biggest part of the day and is some of the most exciting part. Oh, I can hear myself. Okay. So it's an event that we have an award ceremony, and we have all the leaders and public officials will come down to the award ceremony as well, as many as can. And it's really just a really big day for energy and excitement in tobacco prevention. So people who come to our Kick Butt Day specifically, we have around 30 chapters coming this year, which is a lot. So it's going to be really big. We usually have between 150 to 200 youth. This year we have over 250 coming. So it's going to be even bigger than in past years. We also have our statewide leadership team. There's about 30 adult advisors. We also have between 15 to 30 legislators or staff. We also have the commissioner who comes to speak from the Department of Public Health. We also have members of the Department of Public Health as well, the organization who funds us. And we also have members of MTCP, which is the Massachusetts Tobacco Cessation Prevention Program. So really, it's just a big day for everyone who's interested and who's involved in tobacco prevention in our state to come together in the same place, same time, and really kick butts. So it's an awesome day for everybody. So I'll just go over the agenda for the day, and just as a side note, you will be receiving a pre-arrival logistics sheet, which will tell you everything that you need to know, including the agenda, so that you're prepared for the day of, and you can come in knowing everything that you need to know. So everyone will be arriving around 8:30, and then we'll have registration and breakfast, and that will be in the church. And then we'll be doing our kickoff, which is also our opening ceremony. And then we go into the march to the State House. And then we have our training before the visits. And then we do the legislative visits along with lunch. Then we have our afternoon program and award ceremony. And then we have our closing, wrap up, and depart. So the opening ceremony. So the opening ceremony, first thing in the morning, it's a big, exciting energy, just big ball of energy. So it's prepared and led by our statewide leadership team. And really, we just go over basic tobacco and menthol info and all of our key messaging for the day, just to make sure that everyone's on the same page and everyone's ready to go once we get to the State House. We also do a game of Kahoot trivia, which is a lot of fun. And we really just do touch points on the rest of the day. And it's just a big chance for everyone to get together and get pumped up and ready for the rest of the day. So in regards to our specific menthol messaging, which we will be talking about again during the opening ceremony and throughout the day, if you want like a sneak preview to our menthol messaging, you can check out our Instagram page. And just another side note, we do have a new Instagram page that started up and running in about November. So make sure that you search at the 84movement_. And when you go to that page, you can see our menthol messaging stories that we have. They're highlighted on our page. So if you want a sneak peek and you want to get used to that before you come to the day of, be sure to check that out and take a look at those stories on our page. And we'll also continue to send emails with messaging throughout the time up until the day of as well. So then we have the march, which is really like the biggest ball of energy for the whole day. So just imagine a big mass of about 250, about 300 total people walking through the Boston Commons, shouting and chanting and doing our key messaging up until we walk to the State House. So really, it's just an awesome opportunity for youth to get out a bunch of energy and to get pumped up and ready for their visits with the legislators. So the key part, again, is our messaging, and we do have chants that we'll be providing as well as signs. So it's really just a giant, big, awesome activity. And then we go into the training after the march. So the training is right before the meeting, so it's really a good fresh start to getting ready to speak with the legislators in person. So we go over exactly what to do and what not to do. So we'll cover everything in that training. And it really pairs well with our statewide leadership team video, which can be found on our YouTube site. So if you just search the 84 Movement, you'll see our SLT Kick Butt Day preparation video. So that's a great thing to share with your chapter. Could be at a meeting or even just sharing with them through email. And the training is really just a great opportunity for you to kind of get a feel for speaking with a mock legislator before they speak with a real legislator. So at the training, we will have people from our team as well as people who are from DPH and different tobacco prevention communities throughout the state come together, and they act as mock legislators to do role plays with the youth. And it's just an awesome opportunity for the youth to, again, get a feel for speaking to the legislators before they get to do so, to kind of get the jitters out, get any nervousness out, and answer any questions, again, on what to do and what not to do before the actual visits themselves. So I'm going to kick it off to my colleague, Tisha, and she's going to go over the actual legislative visits themselves.
Thank you, Jenna. Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're so excited that you have the chance to be here and to talk more about Kick Butts Day. So let's talk about the visits, as that's what you will be gearing up towards in the morning, as well. It's part of the training during your role playing and some of your practice. But when you're actually in the visits themselves, you'll have multiple visits during the morning, during the day, and there will be some times where you may not have the chance to speak with a legislator or someone that there is a representative of the legislator. And in those cases, that's where you'll have packet drop-offs. We provide you with enough information, supplemental information, and they typically last, if you're able to meet with a legislator or a representative, they last about 15 to 20 minutes. And there are times that our legislators represent multiple communities, and there will be times that chapters will be paired with one another, or that the group, if the group is too large, that we will split. So that way many of you have as many opportunities as possible to meet with the legislators so that they have the opportunity to hear what is happening in their specific communities. So let's talk a little bit more about the visits themselves. Again, as I mentioned, that you will have the opportunity, which will be super exciting, to be able to meet with a legislator, but very often there will be times you'll be meeting with an aide or another proxy, as the legislators have very busy schedules, as I'm sure you know, but they get so excited to be able to meet with the young people and be able to meet with you all to hear about what is happening in their communities when it comes to tobacco prevention. But even if you are unable to meet with a legislator themselves, this is a wonderful opportunity to share your stories and share your personal stories, some anecdotes, what is happening on the ground in your communities. This gives them a better opportunity to see and to hear and to have more of a background knowledge of what can happen when they're getting ready to put legislation forward. So again, this is something you'll definitely want to focus. And I would like to sort of recall one story where there was a chapter went in and they had wonderful information and they were providing all the data that was occurring in their communities, but there was a personal story that one of the youth mentioned, and it resonated significantly with one of the legislators. So if there is a personal story that you have when it comes to tobacco, when it comes to vaping, that you can be sure to share that and have those stories prepared and ready to use for your legislative visits. What you'll talk about during the legislative visits is you'll talk about what is happening in your communities. But what also would be helpful is if you bring some products, if there are products from your local stores. And one thing you'll want to recognize is just what is happening on the ground. And one thing I did not mention from before is, in addition to having these products, in addition to having these particular stories, is that you're showing the connection of what is occurring so that, again, they can have the personal relation of what they can utilize moving forward when it comes to their own legislation and affecting your community. So additional talking points. Visuals are very key. So if you have any photos of advertising, again, in addition to your products, any of the information, the data that you might provide, again, utilizing our Instagram for menthol information. And for those chapters that participated in our Cooling Off Menthol project, this is another opportunity to provide additional data regarding your specific communities and how tobacco and vaping is affecting your communities every day. So again, having visuals, having supplemental material can be very beneficial to reinforcing the stories, as well as reinforcing what is occurring on the ground every day in your specific communities. One thing we do want to make sure is, as you're telling your stories, that we would not like you to call out any specific stores. We're not trying to focus on the stores and any store owners. We do want to continue our messaging that we utilize in all of our activities. So what we would like is the aspect of bringing it to your personal story and your personal experiences with tobacco use and vaping. And again, to hone back in what we were describing about the messaging, that if you're finding some challenges in identifying personal stories or anecdotes that you'd like to use during your legislative visit, don't forget about the 84 messaging that we utilize and how the tobacco and vaping industries target youth through sweet, cheap, and easy to get tactics. So we want to always harken back to that particular messaging so we can use that moving forward with our conversations with the legislators. And now I would like to pass over to my colleague, Natalie, who will describe a little bit more of what is happening in the remainder of the day for Kick Butts Day.
Thank you so much, Tisha. So as she mentioned, my name is Natalie Cashin. I'm the training manager for the 84 movement, and I'm sort of going to walk you through the rest of the day and what Kick Butts Day looks like in the afternoon after you've had a chance to go speak with your legislators and go to all of your visits. So once everybody has wrapped up with their visits, we'll sort of gather back in the Great Hall at the State House. This is where most of the action will happen the rest of the day. And we'll start in with our legislator speaking program. This is a really exciting moment in the day because we're gathering everybody back together after they've had the energy and the opportunity to speak with legislators. And we have actually some of those legislators come and speak at this legislator program. So they will speak about their experiences, about what they've heard from young people, about why they think this is such an important issue, and really just speaking about the power of youth voice and how it's really propelled this movement in our state. So we'll hear from some of those legislators. We'll hear from the commissioner of the Department of Public Health. She has always been a longtime advocate of tobacco prevention efforts and loves coming to Kick Butts Day and seeing all the work of young people, as well as giving away some of our chapter awards and our statewide youth leadership award. So our statewide youth leadership award is one that we give out to a young person who has sort of demonstrated great work in their community when it comes to tobacco prevention work. A lot of what we do in the 84 is focused on chapters working together. And there are some of those young people that take it above and beyond and go from the work of their chapter to really taking it on as a personal passion of theirs. So we've had some young people apply for this award this year, and we're really excited to get to see who's going to walk away with that this year and be able to speak at the legislator speaking program. As I mentioned before, we also give out our chapter awards during this speaker program. So these are a bunch of different awards we give out to recognize the work of folks throughout the year. The first one is our Adult Advisor Award. As you might imagine, this is an award that's given to an adult advisor who showed a lot of dedication to the youth tobacco prevention movement and really helping support and be there for the young people in their community and in their chapter. We are really grateful that we work with such amazing adult advisors all across the state. So it's often really hard to pick just one to recognize, but it's really a great opportunity to show that recognition to one of our adult advisors. The next award we give out is for Outstanding New Chapter. This is really exciting because each year we have new chapters that sign up to become a part of the 84 movement, and we get to see new communities get engaged in this work. So this award is given to a new chapter who has really taken their efforts and expanded them throughout the year, really jumped in with both feet and made an effort to get involved in our programming right off the bat. So it's really a great opportunity for us to highlight those groups and to give one chapter this award. The next award that we have is the Local Community Change Award. So this is really focused on local policy. One of the main things that we work on in the 84 is helping youth feel empowered and prepared to work on various local policy efforts in their communities. So it's really exciting when some of those efforts pay off and when local policies get passed and we really see a community change because of the work of these young people. So this is an opportunity for us to recognize a chapter that's done a lot of great work with local policy over the past year. And lastly, we have our Peer Outreach Award. So this is an award that's really meant to focus on and recognize chapters who have not only done a lot of work within their chapter themselves and work together, but have taken that message beyond their chapter to other youth in the community. So we're talking about those chapters who speak to other folks in their school, are regularly trying to reach out to their community and get other youth engaged in the movement, who might be going to present to middle schools, anything that they're doing to help get other youth involved in this movement. So that sort of wraps us up in terms of what the day looks like. After the legislator speaking program, we dismiss for the day. So now I just want to touch base about some of the things you might want to be doing to prepare for the day. So let's go over what to bring to Kick Butts Day. And I'll say that lucky for you, you don't have to bring a lot. We provide pretty much everything that you need for the day. You'll be getting a t-shirt, you'll be getting breakfast and lunch for the day, the march signs that we'll use in the march over to the State House, any of the materials you might need for your legislative visits, and of course transportation if you said that you might you would like to participate in that on your registration form. So mainly what we want you to do is bring your personal stories. Bring yourselves and your energy and your stories to Kick Butts Day. That's the most important thing that we can ask you to do, because this is really an opportunity and you know, one of the few opportunities that young people really get to have their voices heard in places like the State House. So how else can you be preparing for Kick Butts Day? So one of the things that we would like you to think about is we're really excited to see as many of you as possible there on the day, but we know that not everybody can make it to Kick Butts Day, and that's okay, but let's have an opportunity to think about how we might be able to engage folks that can't be there on the day of. So what are some ways that you could engage the rest of your school or your organization or your community in these messaging, in these topics, in your stories? How can you be sharing those messages with folks in your community that aren't able to come to and see the excitement of Kick Butts Day? And we're going to have several different options for you to do, and we always have activities on our website that you can use, but we will have an activity that's specifically for Kick Butts Day. And, you know, we, this year you might notice that we are doing Kick Butts Day on April 3rd, when typically it's in March. Actually, the National Kick Butts Day is March 20th, but because the last 2 years, New England weather has not been on our side, we've moved it to April 3rd. But we will be sharing with you all an opportunity to do an activity for actual Kick Butts Day on March 20th, or just preparing for Kick Butts Day that can help engage the rest of your community in these topics. So look out for that. The other thing that you could do ahead of time is actually reach out to your legislators and let them know that you're coming. It's a really exciting day, and as Tisha mentioned before, legislators are really excited to meet with you. So giving them a heads up that you're going to be coming there on April 3rd is a really good opportunity, a really good way to sort of engage them ahead of time. You can do that through social media. Most legislators have a Twitter page that you can do. And you can also ask them to come and attend the legislator speaker program in the afternoon. This is especially important if your legislator is not going to be available for a meeting. They might be available later in the afternoon. And so we want as many legislators as possible to come down and be a part of that legislator speaker program in the afternoon that day. Another thing that you can do is, along the lines of the training that we'll be doing the day of, is to just practice doing those legislative visits. You know, get your chapter together, have somebody act as a legislator, and just role play what that will look like. The more that you continue, you know, role play and sort of do those mock legislator visits, the more comfortable you'll be on the day of when you're actually speaking to the legislators. And we'll be providing you materials throughout the rest of the month leading up to Kick Butts Day that can kind of help you prepare in those ways. And lastly, the best way to get pumped up and engaged heading into Kick Butts Day is to, you know, talk with us on social media. We've been using social media a lot more recently, especially when we're using our Instagram page to talk about our menthol messaging. It's been a really fun opportunity for us and cool way for us to share some of these messaging statements ahead of time with you all. So we really would encourage you to get involved in that. So please follow us on all of our social media accounts on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, and using our hashtag 84KBD. I'll just quickly mention what might happen after the event. We're going to be taking a lot of pictures throughout the day, especially a picture of your chapter. And we want to make sure that once you get back to your home, to your communities, that everybody in your communities hears about the awesome work that you did this day. So we really work with our local community partners to help get some of that media attention. So we'll use photos and stories and anecdotes from the day to hopefully get media attention for you all. So if you already have a relationship with a reporter or news station, let us know, and we can try to help make those connections and get information so that you all can be featured in some of your local media. And as always, it's really nice to send a thank you note to the legislators. They do have really busy schedules, and so it's nice to just acknowledge them taking the time to meet with you all. So before we wrap up, I would like to, at this time, kind of answer any questions that might have come up throughout the webinar. So I'll give you a chance now to add any questions that you might have to the chat box, and we can kind of just address those. It doesn't look like anybody had any questions so far. So I'll give you a couple minutes to type any questions you might have now into the chat box, and then we can go ahead and go through those. While everybody is sort of thinking about questions they might have, I'll also just mention that if you have staff members or your chapter that you think would have really benefited from seeing this webinar but were not available today, we were recording this webinar. So we'll be able to send out a recording of this soon in an email to all of you so that you can pass this along to folks that might not have been able to join. Do we have any questions? I see some of you may have raised your hand. If you do have a question, and just go ahead and type it into the chat box that you see over on sort of the left-hand side of your window there, and we can answer it that way so we can see, since all of you are muted right now. All right, so it doesn't look like we have any questions at this moment. Of course, if you have questions that come up, we as the 84 staff are available by email and phone and like all of those things leading up to the day. We're pretty much, launching into straight up kick butts day mode now. So we would love to chat with you more if you have any questions about anything that we covered in this webinar. As I mentioned before, we'll be continuing to send out material to you all, sending out more messaging and different items that can help you prepare for the day. So we're really excited to see you all there on Kick Butts Day, and let us know if you have any questions. Thank you so much.